Welcome to Connection Point, a conversation series from the Link Group, where we go beyond the work to explore the passions, experiences, and curiosity that shape deeper partnerships and stronger insights.
I'm Jessica Caffrey, a partner here at the Link Group, and today I'm with my colleague Melia Whiteside, our newest partner at TLG. We're very excited about that, who also works alongside me on the quant side of our business. So excited to have her here today. Let's get into it. So you and I work together a lot, both on the quant side of the business, a lot with our new hire recruiting, but tell us a little bit about your career at the Link Group and what your role is here.
Yeah, so I started like many other linkers did, was recruited from campus. I didn't really know what research was or what the Link Group was. And I remember there was like a flyer that someone had sent to my marketing professor, and she just flashed it up on the screen, and it was like information session tonight for the Link Group. And I was like, I don't know what that is, but it has the word marketing in it. And I thought I wanted to do marketing. And so I was like, I'll go. And I went and then ended up interviewing and falling in love with the company as I went through the interview process and got the offer, and then have been here ever since. I started off doing qual and quant, similar story as you. And then really fell in love with the quantitative side. I've always been more math-minded and love working with people, but also like working alone a little bit too, which quant allows you to do. And then have been just sort of living in that and growing in my quant skills ever since.
Tell me what you do without using the word researcher.
I collect people's thoughts, opinions, perspectives, and report them in a numerical fashion for my clients to better understand what's going on in the marketplace.
I love it. And what are some of your favorite types of research?
Oh, segmentation. Right. Segmentation is such a beautiful mix of art and science. I love this. I love the science of quant research. Segmentation is much more nebulous, even though there's like a lot of data and science that go into it. And I think it allows us to like use our brains in such a different way, and really think about how to create a framework for how to think about customers or consumers, and our clients can then take that framework and use it moving forward in lots of different decisions that they make. And so it just feels also very impactful, along with it having like sort of a creative element to it.
Thinking about like who you are kind of both in and outside of work, what are some of like the core values that are just really inherent to who you are?
Oh man, I have a lot of passion for people being who they are in a really like authentic way. And I think that is part of the reason like I fell into research accidentally, right? Is like really understanding who people are and what they're about, and it not being sugar-coated or fake or misunderstood or I'm unapologetic, and I want other people to be that way too. That's also why I love doing recruiting with you, because we get to kind of dig into who people are from the beginning, and then like try to like suss that out. And then if we can't tell who they are, it's like red flag, right? We want you to be able to like show us who you are as a human.
Then kind of outside of work, obviously you spent a lot of time here. You're a mom of 3 young kids, but like what are the things that you really get fulfillment from outside of work?
Yeah, I mean, I love to travel. I used to like cooking a lot more, but Jeff's taken over a lot of that, and like it started to feel more like a burden than it used to. I'm not sure why. If it's just like my kids' ages or what, or like the pace of life. But where I've found the most like inner peace or like calm that is very necessary in today's world is outside in my garden.
Yeah.
And so like sometimes I'll just go outside and walk around like a weirdo, looking at stuff in the garden.
Where did that like passion for gardening begin?
I had one of my bridal showers, and I had registered for something that was like gardening related. I don't remember exactly. And my younger cousin was there, and she's maybe 10 years younger than me, so she's probably about 30 now. But then she was like, 17 or something. And I was like, I'm excited to like get into gardening when the person like gave me the gift. I was like, I'm excited to like start this process. And I just remember she turned to me and she goes, I hope I never grow up. I was like, oh my God. This is the beginning of the end, isn't it? For like
I don't
feeling
know.
young.
The old lady hobbies are becoming trendy.
That's
so,
what I've heard.
but, yeah.
I'm not sure if that's just like trying to make us feel better about ourselves.
Sure, we'll go with it.
Yeah, we'll run with that. And then it just sort of like slowly cascaded. I mean, I had a townhouse for a while, and that was like pretty limited in terms of what I could do gardening wise. So then we moved into Jeff and I's first house in 2014. Started to kind of get, but I had no idea what I was doing. Like looking back, I probably wasted so much money sticking stuff in the ground that had no business being in that spot, or like it probably looked really weird. I'm still learning a lot, but it's just sort of every year my passion and interest grows.
Yeah. What are some of like the key things that you've really learned throughout the years as you've been gardening?
Oh man, it's really complex. And
Yeah.
maybe that seems
Okay,
obvious.
No. So tell me more. I was
Okay.
going to say, I don't know. It feels like you put a plant in some dirt. So
There's just so many variables, right? And like the way we think about like people and segmentation's like so complicated, right? It's like there's layers. There's so many aspects of each like plant and that plant's needs that you're supposed to consider. And like, I mean, I think probably when my stuff does well, it's probably luck for the most part, but I know there's a science behind it, and I'm still like learning. And I think, once I'm older and like retire, I'll probably like really learn like what needs what. But like some of the variables that I know exist, but I don't do today, like the pH of the soil, the composition of soil. Is it sandier? Is it like, there's all these different like things that the plant want. Obviously the amount of sun, but it's not even just the amount of sun. It's like morning sun or afternoon sun, right? Like there's all these elements, the amount of water it gets, of course, and how well it drains. Some plants are super drought tolerant or actually like a little bit of like being dried up, right? And then sometimes I'm pretty sure even if it's perfect, like you hit every element, it still dies. There's like pests and, I mean, oh my gosh, like, different diseases that are hard to manage. It's really hard.
Yeah. So you mentioned segmentation, so I'm going to bring it there. So when you think about all these different variables and like which ones you're going to focus on, right? Like in the garden, you said like, I'm not even going to focus on these things. Like, how do you think about that as it relates to like a segmentation?
Maybe a little bit like when we are exploring different segments for our clients and we are thinking through, okay, if this is the segmentation we're using, how do we think about each segment differently and how do we action on that segment and what's like priority 1?
Yeah.
And then priority 2, priority 3, and what's like low priority. So with like sun, I think because that's more obvious to me and consistent, right? I live in one house where like I know what areas get sun when, that feels like sort of low hanging fruit and I can prioritize getting that right. And this, I think water is on up there too. And then soil feels like the next level down, which I just like don't quite have the time for yet. I mean, I do a little bit of it. Not like checking the pH and all that, but like, okay, I might need some compost or like this might need more fertilizer or whatever, but definitely not to like the level that other people do that I see on the Facebook forums. And so there's like, that is going to be like a down the road priority, the way we think about different segments.
Yeah, the same way we might have our clients have to prioritize things that they can handle and
I have the resources for.
And then what they handle later. Yeah. You talked about sort of like being out in the garden and being like kind of a calming experience. So like what have you learned about yourself through gardening and in what ways has it really shaped you?
So I've never been like a big woo-woo like meditator, like yoga girly. And I don't know that I ever will be, but I do think gardening is that for me. And I think I didn't need that. And I didn't know that I needed that because there are times where I'm like out in the garden and the kids are not there screaming and it's just like so peaceful and I feel like it is rare that I feel like fully calm just because it's not always stress. It's like sometimes just like your brain will not turn off, right? It's like the constant like what is on my to-do list? What do I need to be doing? And that's work and personal. Like which event am I forgetting for my kids or, teacher appreciation day that I was supposed to do and like just like letting all that go and focusing on this little baby sprout and being like, are you okay? Are you going to come up? And if not, that's okay. But that's like where my focus is and nowhere else, like on none of these other things.
If you had to grow one plant And one plant only, what would it be?
Okay. If I had to grow only one food, I think I would do green beans. So, okay, my sister-in-law, she is a master gardener, and she's also very like careful about money and thoughtful about money. And so she gardens, but she does a lot of things from seed, collects them. And so it really got me inspired. Her and I were talking like it was over a decade ago. And she's like, you know what? I have these green bean seeds that I have been growing that were like my great great grandfather's.
Wow.
Would you like some? And I was like, yes. And so she brought me, and they say Daddy Russell beans, which is not a variety. It is literally like somebody was named Daddy Russell. And I started growing them that year and have every year grown those beans, saved the seeds, and we keep them in the freezer, and then grow more every year. And then I've also like given them away to other people so they can grow them, and they are the best green beans. And one of the coolest like outcomes of that is the impact on my kids' relationship with food. I think growing things, in particular these green beans, has like changed their palate a little bit, because I think it started out when they were younger. They would like the process of going out and finding the green beans on the vine and picking it and just eating it directly. So even Fitz, my pickiest one now, loves the taste of raw green beans, to the point where Jeff and I never get any because they have gone and stripped all of them before we can even get them. But it's such a fun, like really a family like memory, and something we do every summer is like go out and pick the green beans. And like sometimes they fight about you got more than me, which is crazy because usually that's like you took my fun dip, but it's like green beans. Yeah, so I think it would be that, just from like what growing green beans has meant for our family.
That's cool. I've got memories of my girls getting cherry tomatoes and eating like bowls full of cherry tomatoes.
Yes.
Off the things. A similar idea. What plant in your garden best represents you?
Ooh. So I'll maybe say a rose. This is my rose from my garden.
So beautiful.
Thank you. They can be a little persnickety, like in the sense that they don't take crap. You know what I mean? Like if you don't take care of them in the right way, like they're like, bye, right? Like they're not like willing to put up with what they feel like they shouldn't put up with. And they've got, thorns, but then like if you allow them, give them the right space, like they're so incredibly fulfilling. There's so many different varieties. They smell incredible. Like sometimes I'll go out and just like smell the roses and like live in that smell. And they're they're challenging, but like also super rewarding.
Like worth
it.
The effort.
Worth the effort.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that. All right, I've got a lightning round of questions.
Ooh, okay.
For you. You're digging in the dirt.
Okay.
Gloves or bare hands?
Gloves, but y'all know I lose stuff, and I can't find them. And so then sometimes I'm like, if I can forget it, I'm bare hands.
Favorite smell in the garden?
Well, I did say rose, but I actually think I'm going to switch it to jasmine, which is, a climbing vine. It's flowering right now. And in our new house, they had planted, not only around our front door is it covered in jasmine, but we have a half basketball court in our backyard, and there's a huge wall and is entirely covered with jasmine. And you step out there and it's just like, you feel like you're in heaven. It smells so incredible.
That's amazing. Garden gnomes and garden decor, yay or nay?
Yay for other people.
Okay. Love it. Tell me about what is a win for you in the garden?
Growing from seed, which is very hard and I fail a lot at.
Yeah.
But like the couple of times, or the couple of plants that I do that with, it's like so exciting versus like buying something that's already like halfway there. So we talked about the green beans. I do it with zinnias. Zinnias, like I feel like their reputation had been like, oh, they're kind of like crayon box, like primary colors, like kind of cheesy. But there are some really gorgeous special zinnia varieties, and they're so easy to grow. You can literally just like sprinkle them, and as long as I get enough sun, they are like popping up. And those actually are like cheap to grow. Like, actually one thing that is not expensive. Last year, I put in a couple okra plants. I don't think they got quite enough sun, so I didn't get enough, because you kind of need a lot of okra to like make
do anything with it.
Yeah. And so there was one at the very end, and I just kind of like, well, honestly, I just like kind of forgot about it and just sat there. And at the end of the season, I was like, oh, I bet I can save these seeds now, because you have to let it go like all the way to like brown and crispy, basically. Yeah. So I saved the pod, broke it open, saved the seeds, and then I planted them inside in February, and then now they are in my garden as 4 new okras in a new place that will hopefully produce actual okras this time.
What, if you're thinking about sort of the gardening skills that you've honed over, the last decade or so of gardening, what really applies to your role as a researcher?
I would say patience. When and I'm only saying this because I know you've done some gardening in your days.
Yes, I'm a failed gardener.
There's no such thing. Like when you go away on vacation in the spring, summer months, and you come back and you're like, ooh, this stuff grew overnight. That's so awesome. But usually we're not on vacation, and every day you go out and check your garden, you're like, it looks kind of the same, and you're waiting, and because you're so excited for the vegetable or the plum on the plum tree to ripen or the flower to bloom, right? Yeah. And so, but you have to be patient, right? You can't, especially growing from seeds, you have to wait for it to grow on its own time, whenever that is. I also feel like my stuff's always later than everybody. I'm walking around and jealous of other, what am I doing? But just living into that patience and knowing and trusting that you're going to get there, that the project will work out and that everything is going to be fine, right? It's just kind of living in that. Mm-hmm. The other thing I would say is just curiosity, right? Kind of calling back to the conversation earlier about all the complexities of gardening and the different elements of it. You have to be curious, why did this fail? Why did this not work this time? Because if you don't ask the why when something fails, you're not going to learn from it. And same thing in research, right? Client wasn't particularly happy with this one thing. Why? What was it? What was behind that? Or this question type did not work the way I wanted it to when we got the data back. Why was that? And it's that curiosity that then makes you better on the next project the next time around.
Yeah. And kind of the same way, we've both been doing this research for a long time, and that curiosity is still there, and we still learn and we still fail. And I feel like a garden is the same way. You're never the garden's never done.
No, there's no limit to what you can learn or know.
Absolutely. So when you go out in the winter, I'm assuming I don't know, I never really did a winter garden because I didn't think that went well. But when you go look at that kind of bare patch in your vegetable garden, and you're trying to sort of plan for what that's going to look like in the spring, how do you set that vision, and how, kind of in the same way, thinking about a project, how do you start at the beginning and get all the way through?
So what you're talking about is what I should do?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, and I'm type B, and so while I often think about I should plan, usually it's half-baked, and then I usually have sort of a very loose idea, and then knowing that things change, or some of my seeds might take and others might not, or I'm at the farmer's market looking at the plants and something might catch my eye and I want to add that. It's the same way that I handle my research projects, which is have a loose idea and then roll with the punches, because life just doesn't ever work out exactly the way you planned. And so you have to be willing to pivot based on different variables or based on how you're feeling that day or whatever it is. So I don't know that I have a super rigid plan. A couple times I've tried to write stuff, draw a diagram, and then I got halfway through. I was like, what am I doing? This is not me. This is for somebody else.
Yeah, it'll take some of the joy out of it.
Yeah.
What is a gardening tool that you cannot live without?
I wouldn't say there's anything that's I can't live without, because gardening is pretty much your hands and water. Yeah. Which is what I think is cool about it. There isn't a whole lot that has to be. I will say I have recently come to learn more about the benefits of trellising and trellises for plants and growing more vertically. We have a decent sized yard, but we're not on a farm, right? So we don't have all the space in the world. Plus half of our backyard is pretty shaded. And so that's limiting. So for our actual especially vegetable gardening spots, we don't have a ton of land. And so you can grow up.
Yeah.
And so this year I bought a couple trellises, put them in some different places, and I'm trying to even grow like flowers that grow up. Mixed success so far, but we'll report back.
Great. What is your most important tool when it comes to research?
I think same in the sense that I don't think it's the tool.
Yeah.
I think it's the curiosity and the tenacity sometimes, and like Andrew and I talk about this with segmentations all the time. Like people ask, what tools should we be using? And Andrew and I are like, you eat the tool. It's not the tool. It's like your brain, right? And like, yes, we have different tools that can help us get there, but we use different tools depending on what the data is telling us, right? And so it's like, this is it, really.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. How do you know, I have an answer from my mother-in-law on this one. Whether something is a weed or a wildflower.
A weed, it's funny because I've talked to my kids about this lately. They're like, is this a weed? I'm like, well, there's not. It's just what you want to be there and not. Because what some people see as a weed, other people see as like valuable.
Yeah.
Now, if we want to get more technical, I have been learning more about natives and the benefits of natives and then the damage, of course, of invasive species when it comes to plants. Obviously, we all know like the kudzu story, and then there's, wisteria and like all this bad stuff. But
the
like
bamboo that used to be all in your backyard.
Oh, we have bamboo at the new house too. It's still haunting us. There's the definition of weed that's just like, what do you want to be there or not? And then I think in another sense, which is even different, I think the general public would name, dandelions, crabgrass, whatever. I think there's two ways. One is like something you don't want, and that's just a personal feeling. And then the other thing is like scientifically what's an issue.
Yeah.
And it turns out a lot of things are issues. I was like, well, surely hostas are native. There's probably some. No.
I know. Butterfly bushes are a
I
problem
just
in a lot
learned
of
that
places.
too. I
know.
thought it was helping the butterflies.
There are some good ones.
Yeah.
Thinking about research, how do you determine a weed from a wildflower? That could be
data quality.
Yeah, I mean that could be one way to think about it.
There's a gut feeling too when it comes to data quality. When you're like looking at different respondents' answers, and it's like that doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's even a little bit hard to like fully explain what it is, but there's something about the way the open-end is written, in combination with our other answers. It's like, that just isn't my gut. My intuition is saying, no, you don't belong.
It's that gut feeling of whether
like
or
something's
not
right.
Yeah. I want you to complete this sentence, by the way.
Okay.
If our market research team was a set of garden tools, I would be the blank because blank.
I would be the whatever the tool is that clears the weeds. Is there a name for that? Not a weed eater, because that's like.
But like, I have like a little weed tool. Yeah, okay.
Okay, I'm gonna go with that. The idea, it's like clearing out the obstacles for other people. The reason I say that is because right now in my career, I've started taking on more of a role of like being more of a consultant, where other kind of newer research leads are owning the project, and me just like supporting them and helping them feel confident in their ability to manage the client or in pulling out the insights. And then of course in my role as an advocate also, it's like helping, like fostering, giving them the right environment so that then they can like flourish, right? And so like if you take away the weeds for them, you're creating the right environment for them to grow into like the most perfect little amazing fully developed researchers.
And you are like within our organization a huge kind of like people leader. You've been an advocate since that program started. You're someone our junior linkers look up to a lot. So how is your work in the garden really similar to how you work to grow and develop our junior linkers?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really seeing each individual linker, just like each individual plant, is like different, and you have to help support them in the way that they need to be supported, which is probably different from the way someone else needs to be supported. The other thing that's really important to me is just authenticity. We talked about that earlier, but I try to show up as exactly who I am. Sometimes that's a hot mess, right? I'm not trying to be smarter than I am or seem more put together than I actually am, because I don't think that fosters like strong relationships with people. Letting them know, like, I don't know what I'm doing sometimes, and letting them like feel that, I'm at least hope, create some psychological safety for them to show up as their full self in the conversation or in the moment or as researchers, which then I think helps them grow as well.
And then you talked about earlier, kind of thinking back to like saving those seeds and planting those seeds year after year, which to me feels like a legacy, right? Building a legacy. So like, what is the legacy that you are hoping to like cultivate at the Link Group?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it really does relate to both of us because of our recruiting efforts, right? It's like every year we get to have our hand in shaping what the future of the Link Group looks like. I feel so lucky that like we get to do that.
Awesome.
It's really awesome and fun and fulfilling. But I hope that my legacy is that I was able to help the Link Group become a place that allows for lots of different perspectives or backgrounds or beliefs or skills even, and that it is all like valid, and that this is a positive place for anyone to come work.
Yeah. And what keeps you like firmly rooted and planted here?
The variety of the work, for sure. It's like we've talked about so many different things today. Being an advocate, working on segmentations, doing recruiting every year, right? There's so many different aspects of my job that like I've never felt bored. Like I can tell you that ever, right? And so there's always a new challenge or even a new disease state, right? That it's like, oh, I need to learn this. I've never felt stagnant in my career, or that yesterday was like today and today's going to be like tomorrow. Like never ever. And then, of course, the people, which is like the most boring answer, but like actually really, really, really real.
Yeah. What have I not asked you about gardening or your career at the Link Group that you think is important for me to ask?
Maybe what everyone should start with if they're starting a garden.
Okay, yeah. What's the thing?
So I think if you're like, let's say you want to do food, if that's more of your thing, I would say, and like you can do this on like a balcony with a pot, like some herbs, right?
Yeah.
You could do mint is impossible. Don't put it in the ground. Don't ever put it in the ground, but you can put mint in a pot and it will live. Make some mojitos out of it, right? Parsley, dill, basil.
It's my favorite smell in the garden.
Oh, I forgot about I should have said that. Oh
well. It's okay. My answer is better than yours.
You can get like patio tomatoes.
Yeah.
And then I think there's a lot of very basic flowers at like the garden stores that to me are a little bit like boring. But there's a lot of flowers that are much more exciting, and I would encourage people to think a little bit more, get a little more wild with it. Like not everything has to be perfectly manicured or look beautiful all year round. Like that's not, I mean, my garden's pretty much dead and brown in the winter, but to me that's real. You know what I mean? Like I don't love like, and I have boxwoods, so I'm talking crap about something I have, but like just boxwoods everywhere and like, it's like that's not real life. Yeah, like this isn't Pleasantville. Like stuff can die and will come back, and that's the beauty of seasons, you know? I'm going off on a tangent here.
Well, you mentioned seasons, which brings me into kind of my final question.
How did I do that?
If the Link Group were a garden, what season are we in?
Oh man, we're spring for sure.
Yeah.
Right? There was, with Tom and Brad retiring and us turning into an ESOP, it was a little bit like, let's tear it down, and not tear it all the way down, but take some stuff out and let's evaluate where we are, and let's maybe plant some new stuff, and let's grow and see what happens, and we can still pivot, and we will continue to pivot, and that's very much what spring is about. It's like, well, I can still add, or this didn't make it, but there's still time. I can still add something new.
Yeah, an experiment.
Yeah, exactly.
Melia, thank you. This was super fun. We connect all the time across the hall yelling from our offices, but fun to be able to sit down and talk like this. And thanks for listening to Connection Point, a conversation series from the Link Group. If you want to continue to follow along, you can find our LinkedIn information in the show notes below.